All right, guys. I'm going to take a second here to talk through um, some non-negotiables that should be in every single pitch when we're in the home. For deluxe garages, revamp, whatever it may be, right? Um, in their transition statements and their tie downs, right? And so I'm going to kind of walk through our pitch and then kind of talk through each one. And again, these are the non-negotiables, the what we need to be covering. Okay. So the first thing is, we knock the door, um, introduce ourselves to the customer. Generally, they're taking us out to the garage, right, or wherever the project may be. And there, when we're doing that, um, warm up, that entry, whatever that is, right? We're wanting to make a friend, right? And we have different tools for you to be able to do that. One of those is form, right? Family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. It's super important when we're making a friend, when we're selling ourselves, when we're getting our guard down, right? In this initial conversation with the homeowner, if you think about it, they're having a salesperson come to their home. Their guards are way up. They're looking for red flags. Everything from how you got out of the car, how you introduce yourself, right? They're nervous. Am I going to trust this person or not? So we want to channel surf until we find something to kind of make a connection, right? And it's important whenever we're talking to them that we only talk about things that we know, right? So, for example, I have 4 kids, and so if I see something kid related, sports, something like that, then it makes sense for me to talk about it. On the flip side of that, I don't know anything about cars, right? So if there's a really nice, you know, Ferrari or whatever, I wouldn't even be able to tell you it's a Ferrari, first off. But second off, I'm surely not going to bring it up and talk to them about something that I don't know. It's the same thing with like golf, right? I know golf pretty well. I can talk about it, but if you don't know anything about golf, why would you talk about it? You're going to channel surf until you find something, right? Occupation is a good one. Um, in Austin, where there's a whole bunch of tech workers, I can usually talk through a lot of that because that's what I did in my past life, right? In Dallas, where it's more finance, um, you know, then it probably doesn't make sense as much for me to talk through that because I don't know what that looks like and I'm not able to relate in a real human way, right? Same thing with recreation. People, when they're interested in something, they're an expert in it. And you're going to be an expert in this entire pitch. You're going to know more than them, except for when you talk through something like this. Okay? One thing I'm seeing way too much and way too often is that we're going into the home and we're immediately starting to pitch. We're bringing out samples. We're showing them colors immediately, right? And it's because we don't know how to handle this initial reaction. Their guard is going to be up. You're going to get some sales resistance. And our job is to get through that, make a connection, and make a friend, and ultimately sell yourself at the beginning. Now, if you can't make any connection at all, or once connection is made, instead of panicking and putting, your samples out for them to pick color or to start going into your pitch immediately, this is one of the non-negotiables. It's the first transition statement, and that statement is: did the office tell you how this appointment is going to go? All right, so you're going to make a friend, you're going to make a connection, you're going to channel surf, you want to bring their guard down, you're going to get through whatever initial sales resistance is. And then this is the first transition, non-negotiable question. that should be in every single pitch? I don't know. All right. The customer will always say no, right? The office did not tell them how the appointment is going to run, and they did not set an agenda. So then we set the agenda, right? And that agenda is we're going to do an inspection. We're going to measure, obviously. We're going to check to see how much repair work needs to be done. We're going to make sure our coating is a good fit for their solution, right? For example, if they have kind of like the pea gravel concrete, the flake is not a good option. So we need to be able to do that full inspection to see what products we can offer them that fit their needs and their wants. Okay, so we're going to do an inspection, and then we're going to go sit down, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, and we're going to talk through, who we are, what we're about, how we do the install. Right? We have a presentation that we're going to go over. Then we're going to pick color. And lastly, we're going to talk about price and affordability. And if it makes sense, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, I would love to get you on the schedule. If not, don't worry, I'm not going to twist your arm. We'll shake hands and still be friends. Okay? Now we have set the agenda for the customer. Their guard should be going down at this point because they know what to expect. They know what to go through, whatever it may be. So that's the first non-negotiable. We're going to then build our scope, right? And then we're going to transition inside or somewhere where we can sit down to go over the presentation. When we're going over that presentation, before we start, and by the way, y'all, I can talk about this presentation without having the presentation in front of me. I know y'all can't see my computer screen, but the only thing I'm looking at is myself. That's how well I know the presentation and can go through it. Okay? So that first slide where it says revamp companies, before we get into anything, we are going to ask a question that says, I want to be mindful of your time. And I don't want to go slide by slide. I'm curious, what is important to you when choosing a home improvement contractor? All right, so the revamp slide is going, they're seeing the video, they're starting to see how much work needs to go into doing this. And we're gonna say, hey, Mr. Customer, I know you're pretty busy. I wanna be mindful of your time. I'm not gonna go slide by slide and kind of go through the whole deal. But I am curious, I wanna make sure I hit on the things that are important to you. What do you look for in a home improvement contractor? All right, and we want to say the word home improvement contractor because we want to start associating our pricing, ourselves, what we're about to pitch and do with other home improvement projects that they've done in the past. Whether they've done windows for $80K, whether they've done a kitchen for $150K, whatever it may be. This question is the second non-negotiable that should be in every single pitch that we do. All right, so the first one is, did the office tell you how this appointment is going to go? And then I want to be mindful of your time. I don't want to go slide by slide. I'm curious, what's important to you in a home improvement contractor? This question is going to, one, associate them with other home improvement contractors, but it's also going to start to tell us what type of customer they are, right? Are they a customer that has, are they a customer that is a do-it-yourselfer, right? Have they seen the $250 kit at a Home Depot? And we need to talk about that. Are they a customer that, have bought in something with a lifetime transferable warranty before, right? We know they're kind of like our ideal customer. But generally, what you're going to see is a lot of like, well, it's kind of a bang for your buck, right? There needs to be enough quality, and the price needs to kind of make sense. That's what you're going to see. Then we're going to go ahead and start our presentation, and we have to make that transition from deluxe to revamp, right? So you start by telling the deluxe story, and then you talk about how we partnered with revamp, and then you're going to tell the story about how we're W-2 employees, and you're going to get to the qualified remodeler slide. And this is the third non-negotiable that should be in every single pitch. When we're at that qualified remodeler slide, we're going to blame the state. So we're gonna say we're W-2 employees. They take care of blah blah blah, whatever it may be, and then we're gonna talk about the qualified remodeler. And it's awesome if in your warm up you can get to a point where they told you about a home improvement project that maybe went wrong. Everyone that owns a home most likely has had some kind of home improvement project where they've been burned or a negative outcome or whatever it may be because they went cheap. And we're going to take that and we're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that's not actually your fault. That's the state of Texas, right? The reality is in the state, there is no licensing requirements outside of HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. So the reality is anyone can show up and do your roof, do your windows, paint your walls, or do your garage floor. This is why we're super proud to be on the Qualified Remodeler Top 500 list. I tell customers to use it as one more data point when making your decision as a home improvement contractor about who's going to do the work, what contractor is going to do the work. And we tell them, hey, it's kind of like consumer reports for home improvement companies, right? They look at your finances, they talk to your customers, they make sure you have the money to back up the warranty that you're offering, all that kind of good stuff. Once we kind of get through that qualified remodeler slide, we're going to go into our tie down. So we should have told the deluxe's story, right? Hunter and Spencer starting it on a credit card. Hunter wanting to be an astronaut, not making it, now go doing concrete. The transition to revamp and how there's synergies between deluxe and revamp, because this is all that we do is flake. Everyone's a W-2 from the people that answer your phone call to the installers. And Mr. Customer, I would love to say that it's just selfless that we try to take care of these employees and give them PTO and paid time off and 401k matching and benefits and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, what we found is if we take care of them, they take care of you, right? And so if we can go out and get the best, the brightest, then we know that they're going to take care of you, and you're going to tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, and that's how we grow, is within that. Okay? So that's the third non-negotiable that should be in every single presentation. Now, after that, you're going to do your tie down. And remember, there's 5 boxes that we're trying to check, right? The first one is you or yourself. Second one is company, product, design, and affordability. Okay? So hopefully we made a friend, through a form connection, we're starting to get that guard down. The next one is to tie down that company. And, again, the verbiage can vary on all of this, but it's important that we're taking these steps, right? So we talked about the qualified remodeler, we talked about our W-2, we talked about our transition deluxe to revamp. So you have local ownership involvement like myself, but you have the backing of a national company. And then we're going to just ask a simple question. Does deluxe sound like the type of company you would do business with? right? It's pretty simple as that, right? Does Deluxe sound like the type of company you would invite in your home to do a home improvement project? Does Deluxe sound like the type of home improvement company you've been looking for, right? Does Deluxe sound like a company that you could trust? Okay? And now we're checking, we're doing our tie down on company, and boom. Okay? Now, when we get into our product, there really is no major transition statements or things, but it's important as we're going through it and we're talking about grinding that we keep them involved, right? So when you're making a friend, you want them to be talking at least 60, 70% of the time, right? We're open asking questions, we're talking about them. We should know 7 to 10 things about this customer when we leave, all right? And then when we talk about the company, we're starting to take over a little bit, and same with the product, right? And so we need to keep them from getting their eyes glossed over and falling asleep and whatever it may be. And so that first slide, when we're talking about grinding, we're introducing the warranty, right? So, hey, grinding is very important. I refer to it like a sponge. If you think about it, if you cut a sponge open, right, all those pores of that sponge open up. That's super important for us because that allows that material to seep in and mechanically bond to the concrete. We use big 800-pound diamond grinder machines, and that's so important, Mr. Customer, to us because that's really, kind of what we're guaranteeing is that for as long as you own the home, and for the next person, there is no chipping, no flaking, no peeling, and no yellowing or UV stability. And so that's that first slide, right? We're introducing something exciting to them. We're talking about the warranty. And then we're going to start talking about the repair process, right? And I don't think anyone is using concrete stitches enough. It's a complete differentiator for us. There is no one else in our markets that are doing a concrete stitch. We can always take them off of the quote. We can't add them back in. They give us more wiggle room in pricing if we need it, and we're the only ones that do it. So when you're talking about your repair, you're talking about how we chase out the cracks, we fill it with Mender, we grind it flush, and oh, by the way, Mr. Customer, I recommended these. Your cracks are kind of on the edge where you really need it, but if they were to get any worse, I would definitely be saying in order to do this system, we would need a stitch. And what we found in our own data is that it's about 80% less likely for a crack to reopen if we put a concrete stitch. And you think about it, it's just like a stitch on your arm, on your material. It's carbon fiber, it's strong, and you hand it over to them, right? So we're handing them the concrete stitch so they can take a look. Again, we're not using this enough because I don't see it on contracts. I don't see it being installed, unless if it's a new build, brand new concrete, and you just cannot justify it, put it out there. Hey, this is kind of, I recommend you're on the cuff. It could go either way, but we can always take it off. Okay? So then we're going to do our repair slide. And then we're talking about polyurea. And guess what we're doing? We're handing them the puck of polyurea. Right? So we're talking about the benefits of polyurea over epoxy. Right? The flexibility. It's rated up to an 1/8 inch of movement. It's going to be UV stable. We're able to get it done in one day without adding any extra chemicals. The same adhesion as epoxy, but the flexibility of polyaspartic, right? And we're getting them involved in that process. Okay? Then we're going to make a joke on the flake. Hey, we call it feeding the chickens, right? It's a full broadcast. It does a couple things for you. One, it's going to give you the aesthetics and color you're looking for. 2, it's a second layer of protection. And 3, it's going to camouflage, especially for those of you that are going up against garage flooring pros and their $8.99 one-coat system, right? I say this to everyone, if we were just to come and put like one coat down and just shiny, then you're going to see all the waves and imperfections of the concrete. And the flake does a great job of camouflaging that. All right, and then we go to the next slide where they're scraping up the excess flake. And we're going to recap. So, Mr. Customer, the crew's going to arrive. They're going to grind the concrete. They're going to repair the concrete. We're going to paint the concrete with our polyurea. We're going to throw a full cast flake. We're going to go to lunch, and we're going to come back because we're going to finish this install in one day. And then we're going to scrape up all that excess flake. And I don't have a sample with me, but we're going to say, and what we're looking for is an orange peel texture, enough texture to where it's not going to be slippery when it's wet, but there should be no sharp edges or anything like that on that. And we're going to hand them one sample to feel the texture. So all the way through a product demonstration, we either introduce something that's exciting, the warranty, or we handed them the concrete stitch, we handed them the puck of polyurea, we scraped up with the flake, we made a joke, and then when we talk about scraping it, right, we're handing them that sample so they can feel it. And then we talk about our polyaspartic, chemical stain resistance from red wine, mustard, oil, gasoline, whatever it may be, and hand them that puck of polyaspartic. If you have a puck of epoxy, and I know we need to get better at keeping you guys having pucks of epoxy, but break it in front of them, show the difference, right? Okay? And then when we're done, it's going to be a real simple question again to tie that all down, right? Is that the product that you want in your garage floor? So we're transitioning now from product to design, and we're doing our tie down. Is that the product that you were looking for in your garage floor, right? Is that what you expected from an installation for your garage flooring, right? Do you agree with me that, do you see why we use polyurea over epoxy? And have them be an open-ended question so they can tell you, oh yeah, I see, it's the flexible, I just broke that epoxy puck, you know, that was super easy to break. I can't imagine a car driving on that, right? Make it open-ended. But we want to ask them, you know, do you see why we recommend flake floors over solid color floors? Do you see why I recommended a concrete stitch to you, Mr. Customer? You know, with those cracks, whatever it may be, and then tie it all together. You know, is this the type of product that you're looking for in your garage floor? And you should get a check mark from there. And then we're going to pick colors, okay? And when we pick colors, you know, I'm seeing way too many people where they're just kind of handing them all the samples, right? Here you go, Mr. Customer, pick. Ask them, hey, what kind of color tones were you wanting to do in the garage? I noticed that your brick is red and inside you have gray. Did you want to match the inside with a gray tone, or did you want to kind of match outside with more natural tones, right? Think about our colors kind of break into 5 subsections. We have our light grays, we have our dark grays, we have our grays and tans mix. So cabin fever, granite, you know, same thing. Dakota gray, coyote, same name. You have creek bed, right, in that mixture as well. And then you also have your tan bases. And then if you want to get crazy, Mr. Customer, I even got blues and all blacks for you. We got it all. We can cover anything. But don't give them all 19 colors at once, and then they just get information overloaded. They don't know how to pick. And then they're like, oh, we'll pick color. Are they all the same price? Yeah, we'll pick color later. Guess what? They're not going to pick color later. Okay? So give them a couple to choose from. Let them pick. If the spouse is not here, this is the great time to go get the spouse and bring them in. All right? So go ahead. Hey, I'm married. You know, go ahead and bring it in. Let's show her, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? Now, we're making a transition from the end of our pitch to our price presentation. And I'm going to ramble a little bit on the price presentation because we're doing a horrible job with it, to be completely honest. But when we do pick our colors, right, we need to do a pre-close. Right. So what most people think of pre-close is, you know, outside of price and availability, is there any reason you can't close today? Well, as soon as you say can't close today, or can't move forward today, or anything like that, their car is going to instantly go up, right? And that's not what our sales pitch is designed to do. And so we still want to pre-close them. We want to make sure that price is the only thing that's left, and that's the only objection that we have left, right? Y'all have all heard me say once price is on the table, the only thing that we can do is lower price. So we're going to ask another transition question, and it's going to be simple. Is this definitely the product that you want in your garage? Is this definitely what you want for your pool deck? Is this definitely what you want for your driveway? Is this definitely what you want for your porches, front porch and back porch? Guys, if we get here and the customer is hesitant or whatever, then we didn't do our job in the sales pitch to get them excited enough to want to move forward. We didn't earn the right to pitch price, and we sure as hell didn't earn the right to close them. Okay? Is this definitely what you want for your garage flooring? Hey, Mr. Customer, is this domino, flake, polyurea with lifetime transferable warranty definitely something you want for your garage? All right, so definitely what you want. Now, this is going to tell you, this question here is going to tell you where you need to do the most work. Is the work that needs to be done in your sales pitch, right? Or is it in our close pitch, in our price presentation, right? So again, if they're not excited, we probably have lost this deal, but it should be able to tell you in the future where you need to work and putting your time and your energy to get better. So we have 6 non-negotiables in our normal sales presentation, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we get into our price presentation. Okay? Now, I would, if I was a betting man, and I am a betting man, that most of you are not following the price presentation. So we plug it in to the revamped coatings app, right? So they pick their color. We're back sitting down. Maybe you go back and forth between the garage and the kitchen table, to pick color. And we plug in whatever their total is. Now, we have to do a better job of building our scope completely and fully, right? I talked about the stitches. Mender, there should be a minimum of 10% mender on a brand new slab. On anything else, 25, 50, or 100%. Verticals, it's linear feet of verticals. It's not 1 vertical, 2 vertical, 3 vertical, right? So it's either 20 linear feet and 20 linear feet and 20 linear feet. That would be a 20 by 20 garage, right? With verticals on 3 sides. That's 60 linear feet, right? You're just adding them together. So when you do square footage, you're taking measurements and you're multiplying. When you do verticals, you're taking measurements and adding them together. So verticals, mender, concrete stitches, full-on coating removals, right? And resistance. I don't know when the last time I've seen a resistance, right? But it's PPF, right? Ceramic paint protection for your vehicle. It's the same thing like for your floor, right? Why would someone not want that? Why wouldn't you talk about it? But we're going to go ahead and plug it in. And just to make things easy, we're going to go and say, okay, Mr. Customer, to get the domino color flake with the lifetime transferable warranty for your garage, we're looking at $5,250. Now, we need to pause and sit on this a little bit. We're too quickly going to the 60, 60, 60 sell and dropping it immediately. All right, too quick. Sit on the $5,250 for a second. So, hey, Mr. Customer, to get your garage done and the domino flake that you picked with the lifetime transferable warranty exactly as I described, we're looking at $5,250. Pause. Now, most of my customers put down 40%, which would be, I don't know, $2,500. If and when you decide to do this project, is $2,500 something you're comfortable with? Another non-negotiable, right? We're asking them, hey, are you a cash buyer? Are you a finance buyer? That's what we're asking with that question. We're not asking for the sale. We're saying if and when you're ready, is $2,500 something that you're comfortable with? Now, you can fast forward through a little bit of this at times, but you have to put $5,250 out there and you have to sit on it. You ask the question, 40%, most of my customers put it down. Is that something that you're comfortable with? And then you say, and how soon would you be able to let me know if you want to move forward with the project? The question is not, and when did you want to get this project done? The question is, when can you tell me if you want to move forward with the project? Whatever their response is, 1 week, tomorrow, the next day, it doesn't matter. We're going to say, wow, so you're pretty serious about getting this done? Would you mind if I showed you what our current promotion is going on, right? Or you don't even have to ask that question. You can just say, hey, let me show you what our current promotions are, because it sounds like you are wanting to get this done. And then we're going to go into the 60-60-60 slide, and we need to explain it. So as I mentioned, Mr. Customer, it sounds like you're pretty serious about getting this done. If you are able to get the install done in the next 60 days, and you want to justify that. So if we're in Q4 or December or January or February, we're saying, our marketing team was really nice to us. As I mentioned, everyone's W-2. This is kind of like the season with headwinds, right? And we want to keep our guys busy because they're W-2. We can't get rid of them. They're really good guys, blah, blah, blah. And so they came out with this awesome promotion called the 60-60-60 sale. And the only thing you have to do, Mr. Customer, is get the install done in the next 60 days. Is that something that you're able to do? Great. You get, first off, you're going to get a $60 gift card. Rebate gift card is going to take you from $52.50 to $51.90. And then I make a joke, right? Hey, I know it's not a lot, but you can get Starbucks, you can get Whataburger, you can get whatever, but we're moving that price down in the right direction. Would you agree with me, Mr. Customer? Yeah. And then you get the option, right, of 60% off the installation, which is 15% off the total ticket price, or 60 months with 0% interest. Which one of these options would you prefer? And show them the iPad and let them choose, right? And sit on it. Sit here, right? Don't say, oh, I think you're not a finance buyer. You're probably a cash buyer, right? No, just say, hey, which one of these options do you prefer? And let them pick. And then if they say the 60% off installation, now we are actually selling, right? We're asking them for their business. So we're going to take that $51.90 and we're going to take 15% off of it, which is going to be roughly, $750, which is going to take it to like 44.40 or something like that. Let's see, 43.40. Take it to 43.40 roughly, let's just say. And then I make a joke and say, and that doesn't update the down payment, the staying technology, but that would take your down payment to $2,000. Is that something that we can get you on the schedule with, Mr. Customer? Right? And now we should at least bare minimum be in a price negotiation. If our scope is built fully, we should have wiggle room if we need it without going to the minimum price. And we're asking for the sale, right? The other thing is on the 60-60-60 as we head into spring and we're into the busy season, you can put pressure and say, I don't even know if we have a spot in the next 60 days. I'll have to double check, right? And assume the sale. Go ahead and say, hey, I had the 19th open. Is that something that would work for you? It's a Thursday, whatever it may be. But go ahead and get the ball rolling here. Now, as they come with objections, and the objections are going to be pretty common, right? I need to think about it. I need 3 estimates. Will you just send that over to me? Right? I need to talk to my wife, whatever it may be. Then we fight and we overcome those objections by isolating it and getting it back to the money, right? Once we have an objection, a true objection, we isolate and we take it back to money. And we should be comfortable enough and we should have enough wiggle room in our pricing to be able to do this at least another 2 times. So we have 1 drop, we should be able to do this twice and do it a 3rd time. This is where you leverage things like your marketing rebate, where you leverage things like your higher authority call. This is where you can leverage a today price option. All right. Let's get to doing the non-negotiables. If you have questions, reach out to me and we'll go from there.